My name's Rachel McLeod. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and emotional wellness coach. I help people do the brain work for resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress, and actually resolve and overcome those symptoms instead of having to manage them. And what we're talking about today is take your power back from anxiety. Gosh, this is a real thing. And one of the, just to start out the gate of this, is that anxiety really is taking your energy. Anxiety really is your system spending lots of energy fleeing, fighting, fawning, fainting, and freezing. I think I said the right five F's. Um, those are expensive processes. They are expensive with your vitamins and your minerals. They're expensive with your time. They're expensive with your available resources. They're expensive. And as a matter of fact, you can't stay in them. And that's why then we have to shift into coping and trying to get out of anxiety, which then takes a whole nother load of energy. And that is our power, our energy, our time, our resources, our vitamins and minerals. That's part of our power. And when it's being funneled into anxiety or depression, traumatic stress for that matter, all of which really are part of the same family as I see it, but we can really feel the powerlessness because there is a component of powerlessness in this because all your power is flying out the window. It's being sucked out by this anxiety thing. And it's really important to take your power back. And that's what we're really going to talk about today. And you might be experiencing this powerlessness as despair. Um, many people with anxiety end up depressed. It's a part of a cycle in the process because you're just so exhausted. Your system will say, let's just shut this whole thing down a little bit. And then you just start moving a lot slower. You start feeling more despair, those sorts of things. And so you might notice your powerlessness as you're like, I don't even want to try. I don't even want to start. Um, I don't even have it for this. You might notice that some of the things that you really would enjoy, that you just don't have the energy for them anymore. Maybe you are like, I'm not going to therapy anymore. I feel so powerless. I'm not even going to go. Or maybe you're feeling powerless in the face of actual moments when you're triggered. Maybe you're feeling powerless in being able to drive because panic attacks are there, or powerless to be able to confront somebody that you need to have a conversation with. But you just feel powerless to do so because you know that you're going to get all frozen and tongue tied and just, you're not going to have the power to do what you know you can do, that you have the skill to do, but you know that you're, as you get in there, your brain will take a left and you'll lose your ability to navigate and to direct the conversation the way that you want to and not in the way that anxiety makes you. And so um, uh, you might also be noticing just that you've tried so many things and failed. That you just don't have the power to bring something to completion, and it's confusing because in your, you know that who you are actually has no problems with those things, but maybe, but because of the anxiety, you're just, it's not happening, and it's confusing because anxiety doesn't waltz into your life and say, hi, this is me, anxiety, I'm going to take all these things from you and make all these things three times as difficult. It doesn't do that. It just starts happening. It's something in your mind and in your body that is taking place, and it is a very real thing, but it doesn't wear a t-shirt, right? It doesn't it come in and announce itself. It just starts happening. And so you may feel powerless to try new strategies. You might feel powerless maybe with medications. Maybe there's just, you've tried all the medications. Maybe you're maxed out on medications. Maybe you're afraid that you're going to have to start taking medications because you just don't have the power to navigate anymore. um, and you know, like I said, with the trying new therapies, and um, I have a list here. Okay, meditation. Gosh, people are trying all the things. Meditation. They're trying self care, trying routines, anything to get their life back, but they just end up powerless. And so, and then the last thing is that you just keep losing battles against anxiety. You keep having to give up another thing. You have to give up being in photos with your family because it gives you so much anxiety to see yourself in pictures, or you're worried about what everyone else is going to say, or you have to give up going to the family barbecues, because being around a particular person there makes you anxious, or you're worried about when this is going to happen, or if that's going to happen, or maybe you're not going to your doctor's appointment, maybe your dental appointment, maybe because you're so anxious about what could happen, and you just can't bring yourself to do that. And logically, you're like, I just want to go get this done, but on the other hand, you're so anxious. Your power to do the things is not showing up. It's not available to you. Um, and what we know also about anxiety, when it doesn't resolve, it grows, right? You might have noticed in your early teen years, maybe you were anxious about a couple things, in your early 20s, you were anxious about a couple more things, but you had all this new freedom you were trying out. But by the time you were 30s and 40s, it's just not working anymore. And that's because the nature of anxiety grows. It becomes very simple things that are difficult to resolve, and then it becomes complex, more complex, and pretty soon it has us tied up and defeated. And so those are some signs that say it's time to get your power back. And now we're going to talk about how to do this, because the truth of the matter is brains resolve anxiety beautifully and quickly. Those two things. It's designed to resolve anxiety. There are reasons it cannot. And when we address those reasons, finally the brain is completing its process. It is actually resolving symptoms. So if you've got anxiety symptoms, one of the other truths here is that when these resolve, you will notice massive amounts of growth and wellness. You will notice your power coming back, and you being able to actually do the things that you were not able to do. Do the things that anxiety, that panic attacks, that overthinking, looping, difficulty concentrating, all these things, your mind going blank, all these things resolve. Brains actually work through that and create a new way of being and resolve that. Some of these symptoms that you have right now, you will never have to see them again. Some of them are your brain's communication device. And once you see them, it's like, oh, you need some help. Let me go help you. So those ones, kind of, you befriend those ones. But hear me, that all these symptoms of anxiety are messages from your brain saying, hey, I'd like to help you with this, but I can't. I'm stuck. I cannot get this through my process for healing and resolving these things and creating a better way of being, creating more health right here. I can't. And so that's really what those symptoms are. They're opportunities to heal. And when you start seeing them as that, you really have the opportunity to get in there and help your brain. And really what I'm talking about here is jumping in and applying 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe 40 if it's really complex, which that's a thing. But 40 minutes of support. Majority of things require like 5 to 10 minutes of support, brain support. And the thing is that we want your brain to overcome and resolve the anxiety. We want it to overcome the symptoms, because when your brain figures this out, it's over. It's done. Your brain is like, oh, no, and then it just rewires everything because it's figured it out. If your brain does not figure this stuff out, you have to keep telling it. You have to keep fighting with it. You have to do all this stuff. And it's like you work from the top down, and you're like, employees, get to work, do the right thing. And they're like, I can't. I'd love to help you, but you don't know the problem. So I can't get any help from you. And now we're tuning you out altogether, because I love that you are telling us what to do. You can see that we are struggling. Captain Obvious, right? I mean, the inner world gets, we can see this stuff showing up in our business offices and our family systems. This is an internal thing that you can see happening outside of us all the time. And it doesn't work like that. We really need to work together. And these symptoms of anxiety and depression and traumatic stress really help us to do that. They really help us create wellness from the inside out. And that's really what it takes. And when we start seeing these things as signs, as anxiety as signs for healing, instead of defeat and overwhelm and powerlessness, we can start taking the next steps. And then what I tell you to do is help your brain complete the process. If your brain is struggling with a specific symptom of anxiety, help it. get in there and help it. And you know that I teach strategies to help the brain overcome these things. And I teach some very specific interventions. I help people match themselves with interventions, because the intervention should prove itself immediately, like within the first 2 minutes of working with it. Brains are fast, and so when they get the right support, you should notice healing processes happening, or parts of the healing process happening. And so, um, uh, so that's what I would say there is: help your brain complete the process. Don't just sit and complain about, I'm having a panic attack. Not now. While you're in a panic attack, you get to complain as much as you want about you're having a panic attack. Okay? Period. But don't just take these things sitting down. Don't just, I see this as like, whoa, my brain thought that that was the time to panic. That's a problem. It's not time to panic right there. Why are you doing that? And then really getting in there and helping it with that. We want to ask deeper questions. If we find ourselves going to sleep all the time, what's going on in there? And we want, when we have that information, we want to start processing it. You know, I have a process for this. I've talked about it a lot. I'm trying to keep this video short. So if you want to learn more about my process for actually doing these things, watch more of my videos on YouTube, here on Facebook. Also, you can join my email list. I go into this in extensive detail. So that I want you to overcome this. But also, the deal is you need to create change at very deep levels. You need to create change at your nervous system level, at the subconscious level, and at the somatic level, the body's experience of emotions. These are the areas that really matter. Traditionally, we spend time focusing on our thoughts. What are you thinking? We spend time with our anxious thoughts, and then also our behaviors, our anxious behaviors. Don't spend your time there. Those are only the effects, the fireworks of the problem. Those are not actually the cause of the problem. When we get down to the causal level of the problem resolves. And so if you stay at the symptom level, there's so much work here to do, and it will never stop, because whatever's causing it is continuing to generate problems. And that's a way of losing your power as well, because you can't fight all these fires, and you'll spin out doing it. You'll exhaust yourself doing it. But when you come down, and even sometimes ignoring all the fireworks at the top, and you get into the causal level of this stuff, which is you'll find in your nervous system, in your subconscious mind, in your body, you'll find these there. And when you help that stuff get processed, all of a sudden you'll watch your thoughts change, you'll watch your behaviors change, and you'll watch your life get better and better, and you'll watch wellness start growing and snowballing. And that's really what we want. We want you to do the least amount of effort to get the biggest amount of results, because especially when you've had anxiety for so long, you only have about this much power. And so we're going to go use this much power. We're going to go plug it in and do the least amount of work to get the biggest result. And we're going to get that much power. And then we're going to take that one and do the same. And pretty soon we clean up your life. And you can take your power back. And what I would say is that you need a systematic and strategic approach for this, because depending on where you're at right now, there's not a lot of power left to do this. There's not a lot of room for error. You really need to get this right and get it right now and move on. And guess what? A lot of anxiety disorders resolve with my process. I don't know other people's process in 2 to 6 months, but most of them in the 2-month mark. So imagine waking up in whatever we're at, 2 months from wherever you're at now watching this video, and this problem is gone. This really happens. It's happening right now. It's happening with my clients right now. And it can be happening with you too. But I will tell you that you need a systematic, strategic approach to this that is complete. Not just, let's go resolve this trauma. Okay, now let's meditate. Now let's do this. Now let's do that. And you're hitting and missing. I would say I love all those things. I love meditation. I'm trying to get my meditation on over here. But when you've got a disorder, if you've got anxiety, depression, or traumatic stress, and you've got a disorder level of this, enough to be compromising your quality of life, it's time, let's get rid of that. And then once that's gone and your wellness is restored, then amplify your wellness. Go meditate. Go do the things. Go take a retreat. Go do whatever you want to do. Go do gosh, there's a word, personal development. That's fun. Do that stuff. But you got to get through the disorder first. You got to get through this anxiety. You got to get your brain creating wellness for you. Um, and so stop focusing on just what's going on in your everyday life, these symptoms right here, the behaviors you're doing that you hate, and the way you're missing out with your children, the way you're missing out in your friendships, the way you're limited. Those are the fireworks, and they're very painful and they're very blingy. Gosh, it's just like you just watch them and you're just melting in horror and shame and anxiety and loss and grief. Let's come away from that. Let's get to the causal level and get those things out of your life starting today. Okay, if this is something you want my help with, I invite you to book a call with me. Get on my calendar. I offer a strategy call to help you figure out what's going on right now, where you want to go, and to figure out the steps to get you to your next place. I do this because I really want to give back. I have had a disorder, and it really is time to heal. And the other reason I give back is you might want my help to resolve this. And if you do, we can talk about that. And if it's the right fit we both decide it's the right fit, we'll get you started right away. So, but either way, whichever, let's do this. Let's get you in a different place, and let's get you in a different place quickly. Okay, so, yep, I invite you to book that call. You do that by going to rachelmcleod.com/call. I've left the link up here in the heading, the title part of this. And yeah, it's time to heal. Let's do that. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop them in the comments. I'm about to jump off, but I will answer those. And if it's a juicy question that I can't type out, I usually will make another live about that specifically. So I will see you all later. Thanks for joining me. Take care.